Welcome to Let's Play Rule the Waves 2 as France, starting in 1920 and ending in 1955. Or maybe not. This could be the last episode if a war isn't generated, but if it is, it won't be the last episode. Me being me, I will want to do some analysis over the 35 years that this game has covered, all of the events. I don't know how many videos that will be because I haven't started the analysis yet, but it will be something. Hopefully something really interesting. And if war does start, well, hooray, we'll carry on until the war is finished and victory is finally achieved. But for now, let's have a little look at where we are. It's the end of December. In fact, let's push on into January. Revolution in an African country. Send a strong force, absolutely. Let's see what that will generate. And unexpected advances in submarines. Interesting to see how many advances we still have to be made. In fact, I'll have a little look at that in a moment. A little bit of intelligence. Italy budget increases. Yep, nothing else of huge import. So just noticing Italian tension has gone up to 10, so it's 10-10 with the Soviet Union, 8 with Germany. Let's just have a little look at research and have a look at these levels. So we just had a submarine one there, which is only at 25, so still some to do. Some like torpedo technology, only at 23, despite being at medium, and armor-piercing projectiles at 22. Obviously, some of you may go and look at the configuration files and be able to tell me exactly how many levels they are. I kind of just assume that it's all the same, that there must be 27 or something, but that need not necessarily be true. So that's where we are with the research. I notice monthly balance has whizzed up a little bit as the yearly budget has increased from what was 606 to 639, which is nice. Obviously, we don't have time to build anything, but one of you did suggest that one way of burning this money would be to have a fleet exercise. And indeed, if war doesn't come by the end of this turn, to have a fleet exercise battle as a final naval review kind of exercise, which I really like. So thank you very much for that suggestion. I will, however, mobilize the rest of the fleet because we can, and mobilize the air bases as well, and then proceed into February. With the press doing headlines on the threat to the Soviet Union, more increase in naval spending. Well, hooray. That's forcing the Germans to increase theirs. Russians halted the construction of battlecruiser due to financial difficulties. Russian finances are in a dreadful state, despite having increased their naval budget as well. So that's all going. And indeed, the Italians. So a clean sweep of my potential enemies trying to do stuff. Monthly balance is soaring up despite everything being now fully mobilized. Yep, and except for these 2 new destroyers working up. And the Soviet Union edged up to 11. Promising. We've all been there. We've all had the tensions peaking at 10, 11, 10, 11, 11, 11, 11, and then not going to war, but cross fingers, this is all going very well. Into March, more unexpected advances. Nothing great, other than the British increasing it. Oh! Bingo. Excellent. We have a war. Marvellous. That's okay, that. I couldn't be happier. That's exactly the grand finale that I wanted for me and for you in this great game series. So let's just check the almanac and see how scared we should be of the Soviet Union. So we have 8 battleships, they have 2. We have 1 battlecruiser, they have 3. Carriers 8 to 9, with a corresponding displacement. So obviously that's the chief arbiter, so actually quite equal there. CVLs, they've 5, we only have the 1. CAs, they have 22. We have 9, but I noticed that our 9 are half the tonnage of their 22, so probably ship for ship slightly better. Light cruisers, we have 4 with another 5 coming in the next few months. They have 5. Destroyers, 35 to 58. Corvettes doesn't particularly matter. Submarines, 30 to 41. So that's not really going to impact us too much. Let's see what we believe about the Russian Navy in terms of ships. So, 16-inch guns throughout, but nothing particularly untoward, and slightly smaller displacements. So most of my battleships are 49s, 50 was a 152, a couple of 57s with the Charlatois, just a couple of 31,000 tonners with the Redoutable, and of course our interesting Ile-de-France 25,000 ton battlecruiser. Their heavy cruisers all seem to be much of a muchness, 9-inch. 6-inch apparently, I don't believe that. The odd 10-inch, just a lot of heavy cruisers. The carriers down here, the all-important number of aircraft, so 50s, 40s, some in the 80s and 90s. So I suspect that my carriers carry more airplanes because mine are up at the 70s and the 100s. So that's good. And I'm not seeing any SAMs on any of these ships. So my air defenses should be stronger, leaving aside the quality of my fighters. So nothing too hairy. I'm expecting a pretty straightforward victory. Famous last words. Let's have a look at my deployment. So I'm going to sort by location and move everything that's in the Mediterranean into Northern Europe. Just so you can see, I'm doing this pressing M thing. Let me just press. So if you just press M, you get this thing, and it's just so much easier to move all of those ships rather than the slightly weird right-clicking and doing move ship dialog box that I always struggle with, to put it mildly, and I'm sure you do too. So that's got them all coming round, which is lovely. Everything is pretty much okay. Obviously, just a couple of obsolete corvettes, but that doesn't really matter. Just need to put some ships onto trade protection. I say some, 24. So let's just organize that. I put 26 corvettes onto trade protection. I could increase that if their submarines are problematic. I'm probably going to blockade them, so I'm going to put my own submarines onto fleet support. I'm bringing down intelligence against Germany and Italy. Yeah, let's bring it down. Maybe just keep it low for Italy. Still running a little balance, so actually let's indecisive. Keep it medium for Italy. I do have a sense that they might just try and enter the war, particularly since I've moved all of my fleet out of the Mediterranean, but we will see. Other than that, I'm delighted that we've got a war, and fascinated to see what comes next. Oh, and needless to say, all my aircrafts are in Northern Europe, and very fine they're looking too. Full of veterans, good. But for the land-based, all at veteran level, and on the carriers, veterans, some experts, a lot of experts, a few goods hanging around. some with these stars, so that's great. Number of aircraft, 1,000, which is really nice. ASW 182. Let's just pop to the almanac because we didn't look at aeroplanes. So we have a total of 1,400. They have 1,200. So that should be all in our favor. Let's push it on, and here we go with a cruiser action straight off. So medium size, so probably just cruiser against cruiser. So let's say yes to that. And yep. Attack enemy ships or suppress enemy airfields. I'm going to say suppress enemy airfields because it was located in the middle of the Baltic, and so I suspect we're much closer to their air bases than they are to ours. And I am conscious that their land-based planes may well have air-launched missiles. I've had that before in different game from the Russians, and it was a nasty surprise. I'm not sure how much suppression we can bring, but any would be nice. So let's move across to the battle screen and zoom in. Oh, well, obviously we've got one of our oldest battleships out there along with a light cruiser. Let's just have a little look at the order of battle. So yes, we only have Redoutable, the light cruiser Forbin, and 9 destroyers. So that's not very helpful, and some of the destroyers aren't of the most modern sort. So it's very much a second division effort, I believe. Yeah, so an old Durandal class that 900 tons that I normally would have put onto trade protection, but I thought, you know what? I've got plenty. Let's not do that. I think I might have to put them onto trade protection. Redoutable itself, 13 inches, just a couple of 6 inches as part of a big modification. I had to bring that right down in order to fit it with a proper level of anti-aircraft guns and the all-important SAMs. So it's got 2 SAMs, but a bit exposed, I'm going to say, because it's just south of Gotland in the neck of the middle of the Baltic. And of course, there are Soviet bases up here. At least they're not in the Baltic states, which is good. The time is daylight, so a full 8.5 hours to go. There's no particular weather. It's merely cloudy, so that might limit air operations. Now, if we just zoom in slightly, looks fine, and measure the distance from Redoutable up to Hango, that reads as 228 nautical miles. So already well within striking distance. Whilst Helsingfors is 282. Obviously they need to find me and then send a strike out, so it's probably at the limit of their range, but obviously the more north I go, and at the moment I have no direction I can go other than north, the greater the chances of coming under an air attack. So my loose plan is to obviously go north. I expect reasonably soon to encounter a Russian cruiser group, possibly with a battle cruiser of their own. It's conceivable they might come out of the Gulf of Riga, but more likely that they are coming down the center of the Baltic. I then, of course, have options to either go round the top of Gotland if I need to disengage, or of course just turn around and go back the other way. Obviously I'm a long way from bases, so I need to be sensitive to any ship that gets damaged, and I sort of don't really want to progress too much further than this kind of line because I have no air cover, none whatsoever. So it feels a bit risky. So the sooner I engage the Russians, the better from my perspective. So let's zoom in and get going and see what's what. Well, already Redoutable has less than 50% fuel remaining, so that's not very helpful, is it? Let's push this a bit further until... So we do have some planes taking off, but they're all back in the North Sea. Oops, let's just increase the speed of this and see. Yep, more fuel warnings. That's going to be a bit of a thing, and we're only going at 16 knots. Still not found anyone. So let's carry on. More fuel warnings. This all seems... so good news. We have control of our course and things like that. So, what to do? We've already used half our fuel. There's a strong likelihood that if I engage in battle and then have to go back, I will in fact end up being interned in a neutral port. I mean, good news. This is very much the second division, if not the third division of our fleet. This is, you know, the weakest, oldest units. So if they were all lost to internment, it wouldn't be the worst thing. Still, you know, I prefer not that to happen. So I'm going to carry on for a little bit longer. It's 6 hours and 40 minutes to go. So maybe another half hour or something. Just see if we find something. We're, oddly enough, not finding anything at the moment, which I kind of expected we would by now. So yeah, no Russians to be found. So we're getting close to that line that I talked about, beyond which I'd prefer not to go. The time is now 4.5 hours. So we're very much, very much at the point at which we might want to leave. So let's go south, and we've been hit by a bomb in X turret, which has disabled it, and hit by a bomb on A turret, which has destroyed it. So that's not much fun. Just seeing if there was anything else. So that was just 4 enemy dive bombers. We damaged an aircraft. We then fired our medium AA and damaged an aircraft, and they got 2 hits on us. Oddly, I'm not seeing any news for the SAM missiles, so whether that's in this combined AAA factor of 25. Anyhow, discretion, valor, best part of. Let's go the other way. We've found nothing. We're low on fuel. We have no air cover. There doesn't seem to be any Russians around, so no victory points to seize, no ships to sink. I think enough is enough. Not sure how those dive bombers even found me. So anyhow, here comes dusk. So let's just slow the whole fleet down, and the scenario is over. So they had 2 battleships and a battle cruiser against my 1 battleship, plus 2 light cruisers and 8 destroyers. So they had considerable superiority. Interestingly, they had 276 airplanes in the area, which is substantially less than us. That was interesting. They claim to be the victor on the basis of those lucky hits. Well, I'll give it to them if they want. And let's go and see where the flagships were. Okay, so we did get close-ish. So there was a force here that got to here at about 10:30, and then they turned away. We turned away at 1 o'clock, by which time they were already retiring. So can't really do very much with that. And the second force likewise was here when they retired, and the first force there when they retired. So yeah, they both turned back. No surprises, no action. So let's leave that and go back here. 600 points, well, never mind. So yeah, slightly disappointing battle, but that's 5. New dive bomber prototypes to examine. A little bit optimistic because, you know, there's only going to be a few. So let's see. So maximum speed 400 or 395, which is nice. Check out the range. So bit more for the Levasseur. Same firepower, slightly less tough, similar kind of bomb load. The heavy range, 500 miles with a heavy bomb of 1,000 pounds. Well, that's nice. So yeah, let's have the Levasseur. Enemy sunk one of our corvettes, and one of our corvettes sunk in a mine. So that's not much fun. Enemy submarines sunk 4, ours 2. They sank 14 merchant ships. Okay. So a few more victory points, but 190 victory points for blockading the enemy. So we have blockaded the enemy straight away, which is always good. So that was the first battle. Short, sweet, indecisive, slightly disadvantaged. Actually, back in this news, there were a couple of things I didn't notice. First of all, the Soviet Union has scrapped a battleship, which is an odd thing to do at the beginning of a war, but bye-bye Sverdlov. The British have commissioned a battlecruiser, Sparty 8, of which I don't think any Royal Navy warship has ever been called. Sparty 8 is the top-level elite citizen within Sparta. Trivia for you. And Lafayette is being re-equipped with the more modern Levasseur fighters, which I'm pleased about, because if we do get a fleet action, I expect the Lafayette to be hung back with the battleships to provide air defense. So nice that they're getting the best fighters that they can get. So that's all good. Let's go and see what May brings. So another cruiser action. Okay. This, I guess, is where the battle generator starts to run out of puff, because it doesn't feel like 1955 should be sending off cruiser forces without any kind of air cover off into the middle of the Baltic, and in this time up near the entrance to the Gulf of Finland itself, so right into the jaws of the Russian air bases, unless it's night time. It's another medium, so let's see what it brings for us. Oh, it brings nothing, because they decline. Well, that's a bit of surprise, but okay. And another one. Let's see if they'll go for that. Yes. Destroyers. I should have put some of my old destroyers back onto trade protection. So let's say yes to that. Let's suppress the enemy airfields again. I'm not sure if it really matters. Some ships from Britain join us. That's nice. Here we go. Oh yes, this is altogether a much bigger fleet. So, oh well, I mean, called it a cruiser action. This is not a cruiser action. This is something altogether. So, objectives none, no reports, no log. Let's see what our force looks like. So we have the Charleroi and the Dauphin together in Battle Division 12, the biggest, the best, the most frightening, with some destroyers to protect it, some Épée class with guided missiles. We have a couple of light cruisers with their destroyer escorts. We have the Rhone and the Charles de Gaulle carrier division with escorts. We have Lafayette on its own with some more destroyers. Again, a couple of light cruisers. The British donate a couple of battleships. Nice to see the Dreadnought and a couple and 4 destroyers from the Tribal class, which is nice as well. So, one great big force, slightly strangely deployed, we are high up in the Baltic, so not very far. If I click on Charleroi, which is the fleet flagship, we are only 105 miles from Hango. If we look at the time, so this is 5 minutes from dusk. This is the kind of situation I would love to be able to split my force and send my carriers away, because they're not going to be any use whatsoever in the nighttime other than being big fat targets, which of course I'd rather that they weren't, but I can't. So I just have to suck it and see. Ideally, what I would like to do once I get control is, there we go. Once I get control is to send my fleet. Obviously, I'll be forced to send it a bit north, but as soon as I can turn it round, take it down here during nighttime. Nighttime is relatively short because we are in late spring. And then once nighttime is over, bring them back up again in daytime and hang around this kind of area to see if we can engage anybody, maintaining a respectful distance away from these air bases. I mean, it would be lovely also to be able to strike at these air bases and see if we can't pull down some of their aeroplanes that are on their air bases. That's the plan. Let's see how all that goes, but maybe in the next episode, just to give you a little bit of a cliffhanger. Thanks for watching this. So pleased we've got a war. So pleased that hopefully some interesting battles get generated. Thanks for watching so far. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.